Hello, everybody. Welcome back. Today, I wanted to talk about our tournament I just played and what it means about my rating. Am I over 2600 now or not? So, for the first time in my chess career, something to be excited about. So, I went down on Friday to play the Basingstoke Congress. So let's have a look at this game. Get rid of the. I was black, so I flipped the board. So I looked at the calendar for the. So there's an English chess calendar which shows all the tournaments that are upcoming. I want to play more tournaments this year, partly because I feel competitive with people like Keith Arkle. He's winning a lot of tournaments, which annoys me. I don't want him winning more tournaments than me, so I'm playing a lot to try and catch him up, but it's difficult because I think he's 10-4 up at the moment. I've been playing a fair amount over the last month. It's only recently, maybe the last month and a half, I've started playing a lot more, so I've got a lot of catching up to do. But played Basingstoke, so I went down. So I looked originally. Actually, I looked at the calendar and it said there's a Great Yarmouth Congress, but that was 3 games on the Saturday. I noticed actually when you looked at the results that there were almost more than half of the field took a bye on the Saturday night. So why are they bothering with like 2 games on the Saturday? Seems pointless, but obviously they don't want to do it on a Friday night for whatever reason. Logistically, it wouldn't work. So to have a 5-round tournament, which you kind of need for separation, I guess you could do it over 4 rounds. Yeah, but I don't like playing anyway. Cut a long story short, I don't like playing 3 games on a Saturday. I don't really feel like I would want to take a bye, so therefore I ruled that out on that reason. So I looked at so there weren't any tournaments in north of England or in Scotland or anything like that, which would have been easier to get to. So I looked at Guildford, but I decided that was a 3-day slog, didn't fancy that much. So there was Basingstoke, which was just a 1-dayer, but really I probably should have played Guildford because it was 500 first. I think I probably would have won it because the way it panned out, obviously you can't tell. Golding lost fairly early on, so he was like the favourite. So I think after that it was like 4 out of 5 won it. I think I probably would have scored more than that, but who knows. But in general, I've been playing better lately because I've been playing more. So I went down to Basingstoke. The next best player there was Stephen Jones, who's based in Basingstoke. Lovely guy. He's actually quite a talented player. He finished second in the British Championships in Leicester 2023. He was maybe slightly flattered there because David Eggleston blundered a piece. Fernandez was clearly tilting a bit because he just lost to Harry Grieve and he couldn't win the tournament anymore. So, or very unlikely. So he was effectively maybe handed it a little bit the second place outright, but still you got to play very well to get that, and I've never finished second outright. I think I have finished second joint, but I've never finished second outright. I would like to finish first, obviously, in the British Championships. So that was a very impressive achievement. I think he's generally quite a talented player. When we played Newcastle before, he was better. He was better in the opening, in the middle game. So I knew he was a dangerous player. So let's just show you the game. So it's all follows standard theory. I'm playing a Najdorf, but he didn't go for f3. Normally white plays like f3 here, but he decided just to go f4, and I played knight bd7. In fact, the best move was b5. Now, when I played b here, I was worried about this, but this is clearly nonsense. I think actually what I was worried about was after knight bd7, which is I should go b5, right? After he should play f5 and just allow this, I think, although there is knight g4 there, but maybe you can just go king b1 and claim that this occupation of this square is very important. But after he went king b1, the reason I rejected b5 was for a bad reason. I thought that this was possibly favouring white, but apparently it's not. You play something like queen c7. You quickly go rook b8, maybe rook b8 immediately. The king a1, it's actually difficult for them to... Maybe the issue is that you have queen b7. And yeah, that is a problem, because they're either going to lose the e4 pawn, or they're going to, obviously they can't allow the mate, so they have to go rook b1. And the other problem is, if they play like a b3 earlier, then obviously they're creating a lot of weaknesses around their king, which giving black some kind of hope. So I should have gone for that. But yeah, a lot of it's down to understanding and knowing these positions, which I didn't really know this specific position where they go f4. I know f3 a little bit, which is also dangerous for black, to be fair. That's what I was expecting him to play. But okay, I did this, which is more straightforward. So this is possibly a key moment of the game actually already, and I think he went wrong here. But it's understandable because it's rapid play, and I didn't see this idea in the game either. I mean, of course, you vaguely understand that these ideas are possible, but yeah. So what should he do here? So it's white to play. We could even flip the board. Oh, hang on. No, that gives it away, doesn't it? Well, what he should have done, flip the board again. He should have gone g4. Now, if we flip the board, actually, is this... No, nobody's actually played this move. So there's been two games. There's been like quite strong games actually. But g4 is the best move. Bishop c5 is also possible, yeah, and then move the queen, and then go for sort of play. But g4 is the best move, yeah. So the idea is that, well, obviously if you take the pawn. Actually, that's a blunder, because then they take, and now they've got a dinky little tactic. So here, white to play and win. Actually, maybe more than one way to win, but this is quite simple. You simply play queen e2. I think queen g2 would also work, but queen e2 just simply wins a piece. So black can't play this line. So you can't take on g4. So the critical line is what happens if you take on e4. So this is... originally I was thinking, when I analysed this, queen g2, because obviously I saw that the computer was saying g4 was the best move, but then I was like trying to think for myself, why does it think that g4 is so good? But queen g2, there is d5, which isn't so clear. So queen d5 apparently is the best way, and after knight f6 you go queen f3, and this is looking scary. You know, I played a lot of these games recently against Layla, where it started a piece down. Makes you realise how powerful initiative is in chess. You know, like here, white's only down a pawn, but it's obviously got a tremendous initiative. Like g5 is coming. Now, let's say you went knight e8 to block g5. Actually, what's the computer's idea? It just goes g5 anyway, of course, because you can't chop c's because a8's hanging at the end. So that would be a nice move you get away with. What about knight d7? The same idea. Could try knight d7, I suppose. I think a move like h4 is probably very good now, because bishop h4 does queen h3. So a lot of these these kind of positions, well, it's true of, you know, anything in chess, is it will really reward your knowledge. You know, these kind of open Sicilians as white and as black as well, but you know, your study really reward your study and knowledge. So you know, this is the sort of ideas you got to find, or you got to understand if you want to play this only at a really high level. But obviously in a rapid play game, it's very easy to miss these kind of ideas. So I think this is looking dangerous. Something like this is just looking like a lost piece, right? Because of the threat of mate on h7. If I go h6, I think it can just carry on g5. And this is just, it's so easy to lose quickly in this variation. Like, this is just game over, right? Unless I'm missing something. Oh no, there's f6, I guess, but looks incredibly scary. Bishop g2 looks winning to me. It's just so simple for white, you know, you don't really need to think. You know, I've probably lost like this a million times in online blitz games as well, right? But yeah, I mean, beautiful idea, not obvious g4 at all. But Stephen played a more standard move, which is bishop d3, which is not bad. I went b4. So I think if he takes here, I was actually intending to sack a pawn, but apparently that's not the best. Because my idea was after bishop e4, you go bishop f6, and I thought, well, you get the bishop on d4. It's got some sense to it. But apparently you don't need to sack the pawn, you just play some move. There's lots of different moves. I mean, queen d6 was another move I was considering. I didn't want to take the pawn because I was worried about queen here. I was going to go for something like rook. Well, no, I wasn't going to go rook a7. I think I was going to go e4, but the computer says that something like rook a7 is playable, or maybe, I don't know, rook e8 is also a move. And black is doing quite well. Maybe a5 is a bit early because the bishop can go to b5. But anyway, it's obviously that's the problem with rapid players that keep saying you don't have the time to consider all these different other options. You just have to keep going. So we're playing 20 minutes plus 5-second increment, which is like, I think that's probably the best rapid play time control. I'm surprised they don't use that in the British rapid play. British rapid play, they use more like 15 plus 5 or something. So yeah, so Stephen went h4. I mean, I was a little bit concerned about queen b5 with the idea that a4 you can now just crudely take. I thought that maybe that's a move a computer would play, just like an annoying move. Queen c8 you're not worried about because of g4 maybe. But apparently bishop g5, that's not a move I saw during the game. Bishop g5 is a really good response. Because you're breaking his blockade, and if he takes, then the e-pawn is coming down. I guess if he goes here, then something like queen e7 is, or queen f6 is more than acceptable. Yeah, I mean, it's still messy, of course, but all these lines are messy. But yeah, I wasn't sure here. I was a bit afraid. You know, I thought this attack looking dangerous. You know, I didn't really want to take because just would give him the initiative. So I decided to do this. And all this felt very unclear. It was only when I went queen f5 I started to feel confident because I felt like my moves are obvious. Well, it's not so obvious what white should do. Should they take the pawn on b4? Probably not, because it's going to open up the b file. But maybe a computer would do it, but it looks scary. But also queen b4 does e3 check, which is a very scary move to have to calculate. Like king a1. I mean, it feels almost like, you know, there's stuff going on almost with rook a2 there, but not quite. So he didn't do that, understandably. Actually, what is the best after queen b4? Can he actually play that move? It looks so scary. It's actually losing. Oh, to bishop g3, right. These are kind of moves that don't seem to appear on my... Oh, but that makes sense, actually, because the queen comes across to d5. Once you see it, it makes sense. But I don't think I would have seen that in the game. Let's say you play a move like e3. How bad is it? It's also not good for white. Yeah, it feels anti-positional to take the pawn. Open up the b file when your king's on b1. So we got all this, and I thought queen c2 was a better try. That's what I was expecting, actually. But apparently it's bad anyway. Yeah, by this point I think white isn't the one in danger, because of... It's very easy to play this position for black. You know, the pawn is protected. My rook is nicely centralised. But queen d3 is probably the best try then. Still thinks it's bad. Yeah, so I'll just show you how the game finished. I'll come back to what the computer thinks. I mean, I probably made some mistake. Rook e3 was good. Yeah, Queen d4 I was expecting, but I was planning to block with a rook because obviously you don't really want to go back to cheat. Because I was looking at the tricks like this. I didn't see Queen g4, but yeah, Rook e5 I was planning. And Black's doing well. But actually the game ended fairly quickly because I went Rook d3 and he went here. And I nearly went... Yeah, this actually, I could have blundered here because if you go here... I was actually intending that move originally, but then I saw that he could go here. And then after this, White is maybe the one who's winning, right? Or maybe I can still make a draw, but I'm certainly not better. I mean, what's the engine saying now? Yeah, it's a draw, but that would have been a huge blunder. So yeah, all you got to do, I had plenty of time left at this point, like maybe 7 or 8 minutes, maybe 8 minutes, right? And Stephen was quite short time, so I think that's also something to bear in mind when you're playing rapid play, to keep like a little bit of extra time in hand. So I went check. Yeah, then I took the pawn and I saw that possibility. That was very important that I saw that I had that possibility, because if he plays me like Queen c1, I'm just going to trade and it's game over. Queen e4 is probably also winning, but you just crudely go. So I think by this point the game's over. Like, I mean, I played it fairly well other than the opening, but here the computer says I should have gone here. I saw that move actually, but I thought after this doesn't make much difference. But what I missed was you have Queen e4, and then he's really cooked. Like here you have Queen c2, so he has to somehow like give up the queen and then for nothing, just to survive, you know, just avoid mate immediately. But okay, it didn't really matter by this point because this is totally winning. So by the way, there was a nice moment before the round where they had this guy who was like a councillor, I think, or some sort of mayor or something like this, was involved in the college, because we played at the Basingstoke College of Technology, and the guy running the tournament was a guy called David Graham. There's 2 David Grahams in chess. I was assuming the other one, who's like the father of a chess player called Cassie Graham, also quite a good player himself. And but it wasn't him. I think he's based in Sussex. Like, this guy was David Graham's based in sort of Basingstoke, which is Hampshire area, and yeah. So actually, to get to Basingstoke was quite a trek. So I had to get like a train, £198. The hotel was like 130. I stayed in the Apollo Hotel, which was quite nice in some ways, but got some dodgy reviews. I found it was okay, but the service wasn't great in the bar, and like some of the food they didn't have and all that kind of stuff. But it was okay, and the breakfast wasn't amazing. It was all right, but yeah, it's obviously cost me quite a lot to play. Ended up making a loss of about £100. Sorry, more like 200, because I think they bumped the prize money up to 150, and from originally 100. I mean, I thought they should have had a second prize. I think it would have been fairer to go on 100, like, and then 50 rather than just one big prize. Personally, even though that wouldn't have favoured me, I just felt like I didn't realise Stephen didn't win a prize until the prize giving. But yeah, that was quite a good game by me. You know, if I played that game in a classical time control, I'd be quite proud of it. So it shows that I can play well at rapid. There was another game I played which wasn't as good. This was against an unrated player, but quite a strong player. He defended very well in this game from very bad position early on. So in this position, there are moves like knight h6, but then I go knight h5. Yeah, sorry, one of the things I just wanted to say was at the start of the tournament, they had a little presentation because they hadn't had a Basingstoke tournament in so long. They also brought John Upham in to run the Open and one of the under 18 rapid players as well, because he's got experience of running chess tournaments and he knows about chess. But yeah, they did a little presentation at the start, which was nice, and we all went on the stage. But I thought, this is tempting fate because this feels like a prize giving. You normally have a prize giving at the end of the tournament, right? This felt like a prize giving at the start. Yeah, so the trick is that if you take, and then you regain the piece. A black can go bishop g4, I think, but then you go queen d2. There's lines like this, which is supposed to be slightly better for white. A black can also go after knight here. They can also go bishop f8, and then the best is queen e2, according to the theory. With quite a nice idea that if they go knight f7, you have knight f6 checkmate. So knight e6 is one line. I've had that against Gavin Wall, who loves the Dutch. There's also c5 as a move as well. But my opponent went knight f6, which wasn't too bad. I went h4. Well, actually, now he's got a little bit of a problem, because how does he stop h5? Like, if he castles and I go h5, this looks dangerous for black, right? Does it not? Well, maybe he can get away with this. But then bishop e2. Yeah, if he starts trading, I don't think this is going to end well for him. Something like this could just be like game over already. Looks very bad, right? So yeah, this is quite a dangerous attacking weapon. I've known about this for many years. So he went h6. I was expecting to take out the bishop, but then bishop d3 looks awkward. So how do you deal with that problem? But I thought you would take out the bishop. I think that's a better try, right? Yeah, I thought taking back the pawn wasn't great, but there's not much difference actually. Oh yeah, Stephen said queen e2 after, because he was watching the game. He said maybe queen e2 was good. Just go for the endgame, which has got some validity to it. Yeah, I think that's quite a lot better for white as well. Yeah, probably should have gone queen e2. I went knight e2 because there's kings in the center, so I wanted to exploit the bad king. But actually this wasn't as easy as I thought. So I went c3 just to prevent any knight b4s. Possibly a bit slow, probably don't need it. So all this is okay so far. Bishop h3 is also okay, I think. But I think this is a moment where I should have gone knight g3 apparently. Not necessarily with the idea knight f5. So this is very clever what he's doing, c6, king, c7, where his king's very safe. But you can go knight g3, I think. That's quite strong. No, no, I've already gone wrong by this point. Yeah, I should go here. And then go here. Because it's important not to give up the f5 square. I should keep a clamp on f5. Yeah. And if he does something like check, and here and take, then I've got knight h5. No, rook e7 is winning. Wow. Yeah, his king's too open. Like, g4 wins. I mean, look at these ideas. Oh, that's beautiful. The idea takes, then f4. But then he's got g2. I mean, you're not going to calculate all this in a game. Why can't he take? Sorry. F4 does work because after this, oh, you've got check, of course. You've got to see all this, because otherwise, like, if you take, you're not even better. No, you are. You're still a lot better. Yeah, all this. Yeah, again, is stuff like rapid play, longer time control. You might. I'm not saying you definitely would, but you might see something like this. Bishop h3 was a bit naff. That was also a mistake. Apparently here, yeah, I think here knight g3 was better. But maybe rook f8 wasn't the most accurate. He should just go king c7 immediately. I think there's quite a lot of mistakes in this game. Like knight c1 was a bit naff. I was being a bit too casual here. I thought, oh, this guy's unrated. You know, I'll win this game easily. I don't need to think. But I was getting a bit annoyed about the fact that he was somehow seemed to be escaping at this point. I remember thinking, if I mess this up, I could even lose. You know, and then, you know, the fact you've beaten the second best player in the tournament, suddenly that's been wiped out and you're back to square one. But at least you're probably still going to tie first. You're probably going to win the last round game anyway. So g3 was an important move, just to prevent him trading with knight f4. And anyway, eventually, I think I got the move order wrong around about here, by the way, because I had to memorize these moves. We weren't recording and there was no live transmission, so I've had to memorize, you know, bring the game back from memory. But I think I might have got the moves mixed up a little bit here. It might have happened in a slightly different move order, but this is about as well as I can remember it. So we definitely got this position, and he went h4, and I think originally we both forgot that if we take, then rook e7 wins, right? So that was, as soon as I got to this position, I suddenly realised, oh yeah, he can't take, fortunately, because of rook e7. So he's got to have a plan B. So he goes rook here. Now I start to see this idea. So I went rook e8, and he took. So it's white to play and win in this position. Yeah, so a few of these people got this on Facebook. Again, pause the video, you know, think about the position if you want. Have a little pause and think about it. It's quite a nice tactic here. I'd seen this earlier, so I go check. So you can't take with the queen because he loses the queen, so he has to take with the pawn. Now I take. So it's sort of danger signs for black because my rook's on e8, my queen's sort of well placed on a4. So this kind of tactic is not surprising, and his position's a bit brittle. He's had to come across all the way across the b7 with a king. It's a bit weak on the light squares as well with a bishop. You know, so it's not surprising that tactics like this exist. Obviously, you can't come here because of queen a7. That's immediately checkmate. So he's got to take. So I went check. Now you can't go here because it's forced checkmate with this. So he's got to go to a6. I saw that check would be met by c4, so I went check here. And again, he can't really go here because of he'll end up losing the queen, and I think that's fairly easy to win. So he's got to go here, but this is where I messed up because I saw this move was possible, but I just was a bit lazy about calculating it, and I thought, oh, he can go queen f4, and then maybe the king will run to a5. But in fact, this just doesn't work because of queen a3 and then b4 checkmate. So that was the simplest way to win. So I blundered here. I went bishop f1. Luckily, really terrible blunder. As soon as I played it, I realised why I'd messed up, because he goes here, and I'd forgotten that the queen was defended by the rook. That's like really like a sinking. Because if you have to play something like queen a5, what's even your threat? You know, and he can take on f2. So I'm just going to lose probably. So I was very lucky that I had rook here check, which I hadn't seen earlier. So this is just a lucky win, really. And yeah, I thought his best try was to take and then go up, but I think that's losing anyway. Like, I think queen g7 is winning. I think so, because bishop is trapped though. But I think queen g4 is a technical win, if nothing else. Like, this is technically winning, I believe. Like, check here, you can run away with the king. If he takes here, just, you know, you're going to win that eventually, I think. I guess it's not that easy. Yeah, you win c6, so you'll win eventually if he takes on b2. It's not so easy though, but yeah, the computer is confirming that it's winning. though it is quite easy. Obviously, understandably, he didn't give up the queen. He played king c8, I took, and now, yeah, it's pretty much game over. So I won that game, and then I won the last round as well against like a junior type player. That was quite, again, you know, quite a tough game. You know, they're quite tough games. A lot of these games, surprisingly, considering how low rated a lot of these players were. But what I think possibly, I don't think that game would have been rated. But if it has gone off for ECF rating, what it might mean is that I'm now over 2600, because they use a K factor of 20. I'm currently rated 2591, which is already quite a high rating at ECF. I'm ahead of, admittedly there's a lot of players who don't, that's why I'm as high as number 4, because people like David Howe are listed as inactive. Luke McShane would have a higher rating as well. I think Luke McShane has won the European Blitz Championships over the board, right? So I wouldn't be as high as number 4 if all the players were listed, but obviously I'm doing reasonably well at Rapid. But yeah, this is the first time I think I've ever had a rating listed over 2600 at anything, right? So that's nice. But yeah, that's just what I wanted to say. So also I've got over 1,000 subscribers now, which is also nice as well. But I think I'll end the video there because I really need to go to the toilet. But thanks for watching.